Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 24th City Council study session. I will call this to order, and D. Stiles Elliott, will you please call roll?
Mayor Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Fajarin. Here. Councilmember McDonald.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Shomlis.
Here.
Councilmember Vance.
Here.
Councilmember Weller.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
For announcements tonight, first, I have a letter for the community. In the early hours of Saturday, March 14th, an inundation of rain and snow melt reached critical levels, which overflowed local waterways, closed roads, flooded buildings, and displaced the Pine Street pedestrian bridge. I want to do a thank you to the City of Pullman's police, fire, public works, and parks and facilities departments for keeping our community safe with fast, efficient responses to impacted roadways, paths, bridges, parks, plazas, and other flooded areas of our town. And thank you to Pullman for working together to get the word out, reporting water over roadways, and for staying out of the flooded areas so our crews could do their necessary work safely. Thank you to the individual groups, businesses, and services that have responded and continues to respond to the needs of our community as we clean up from the flood. Honestly, one of the best things about Pullman is the way we come together in both times of joy and times of difficulty. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you for an essential part that makes Pullman such a wonderful place to live, work, and play. And I had the opportunity last week to speak with both the Washington, Idaho congressional delegations, and a number of them did ask about the flooding, sent their best wishes, had a great conversation with Senator Murray and talked about the impact that it had on individual homes, on businesses that included long-term businesses. She was especially impacted with the thought of the dresses being ruined, and then also the impact to new to open businesses. And as a part of that, we discussed that while there isn't any type of government funding for those impacts, just how our community has come together and supported those affected. So just to let you know that you're in thoughts of Cougars broader than just in Pullman. We do have 2 upcoming special council meetings for the council. They're designed to strengthen communication, alignment, and collaboration with our city partners. First, Pullman City Council will be holding a joint meeting with ASWSU Senate tomorrow night at 5 o'clock at the Elson S. Floyd Cultural Center. And then on Wednesday, April 1st, Pullman City Council will hold a joint meeting with the Pullman School District at 5:30 at the Pullman Public School District office. The public is welcome to attend both meetings, but please note that no official city business will be conducted and no public comment to the council will be available at either of those meetings. And coming up, we have our 65th annual egg hunt. The Kiwanis Club of Pullman presents the 65th annual City of Pullman egg hunt. That's on April 4th at Krugel Park. Bring kids for Easter egg hunts, lots of prizes and fun, and a special guest appearance by the Easter Bunny. The egg hunt starts at 10 o'clock and ends about 10:10. Realistically, but so please make sure you're on time. So 10 o'clock for ages 1 to 4. And 10:10 for ages 5 to 6. Please do leave your pets at home just with all the kids that's involved. The 65th Annual Egg Hunt is brought to you by the Kiwanis Club of Pullman, Pullman Moose Lodge, 943 and Pups and Cups, and a special shout out to our seniors who come together to stuff the eggs. Appreciate all those that are involved in this. To see, and then if you want to see a listing of other community events, please visit the city's tourism page at visit-pullman.com/events. Next item on the agenda is community comments. This agenda item is the one opportunity during this meeting for the public to bring comments to the attention of elected officials. Specifically, this item is reserved for public comments, concerns, or other information not related to any previous public hearing. This agenda item for comments is not to exceed 30 minutes in total. Comments are to be directed to the mayor or the city council as a body. No comment should be directed to individual council members, and each person would have 2 minutes. So if anyone would like to provide public comment, please come forward to the podium. And then if you can state your name, just so that we can make sure we have it for the record, and then each of you have 2 minutes. So please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Scott Hamilton, and we made the Daily News last Thursday, and I want to clarify a misquote in the paper. On the last column, underneath my wife's name, was my name, Scott, was referred to 4 times. And it was misreported, whereas it was Mike Higginson that was sitting off to the side that was talking about it, because I don't know anything about this stuff. And after that, the article got a little confusing. And with advice from counsel, I will not talk past the court date, as in know what's happening. But I do have copies of my testimony that I gave there, as I gave in you, Mr. Benjamin. You got one in your mailbox, correct?
There, I received paper at the mailbox.
Yes, okay. We grokked it, and we straightened out a few sentences. It's going to make more sense now. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to provide public comment?
Mayor Benjamin and council members. I'm Rick Grunwald, and I attended a part of your goal-setting session, and I wanted to thank you for taking the heart of your day to serve our city. And it was an interesting discussion. I wish I could have been there the whole time. But I want you to know that you are covered in prayer. That's my thing. And I was praying for you prior to this meeting out in the parking lot. And this verse came to me. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be open. I think it's a great promise for us as the city. To my delight, I looked up that verse in the very popular Bible app, the U version, and the verse of the day. That was the verse of the day. It was verse 8. So thank you. Thank you for all your service.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to provide community comment? If so, please come to the microphone.
My name is Sheila O'Rourke, and I have a couple of comments. I love what happened downtown, all the wide sidewalks, everything that has made it really nice. And particularly, I love that you've made people like me have a place to pull into and enjoy downtown. What I'm really sad about is what has happened to Lily Bees and the other place, because that was one of my favorite places to shop. Have a look at how good the clothes are. So anyway, I'm wondering what is being done by the city about that. Is there insurance? And if there isn't, why is the water? We came in 1970, and I remember filling sandbags back then. So this is not a brand new, it shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. So why is the runoff not being taken care of before it hits Pullman? Flood abatement or whatever you call it. Comments?
So this is the time for public comments. It's not a dialogue time.
Okay.
So but I'm happy to set up a time to meet later and we can talk about this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Would anyone else like to provide public comment? If not, we'll end community comments. And next item up is councilmember committee reports. Now, and this is, if you see this is our first study session where we have the new agenda that's been worked through. And as a part of this, we wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity for individual council members that are assigned to different committees to be able to report back to the council as a whole, or even get, to be able to let them know what's being worked on. You don't necessarily have to provide comment if there's something where there's nothing that's going on. You definitely don't have to answer on that. There's some of these boards where more than one person is assigned to it. We only need comments from one person to give an update. Each one doesn't need to provide an update in that way. And just worked down through the list as the list was put together. For the airport board, this last week, Tony Bean, myself, and Mayor Lewis, we spent it in most of it in D.C., meeting with congressionals related to the airport, and really with the next phases as it relates to the master plan. We actually had some very good conversations around TSA, and Tony actually put together a proposal on a possible solution to TSA that is out there now. The other thing that is happening is this week, Tony, along with Paul Kimmel, is right now in one conference where it is what we call speed dating with airlines, where they're meeting with different airlines in order to work to get an airline that not only goes west, but also ways to go east from our airport. And so that's continuing to be worked on. The other thing is someone has been hired related to the food service, and expected within the next month that the food service would be back opened at the airport also. So that's a good step. And as a part of that, there's interest as not only the food side, but also the concession side. So for those that are interested in doing anything that is a made-in-Palouse type item, we want to have that as an opportunity for people to be able to purchase there. And so Tony would be the one to reach out related to that. Next up, so the Board of Volunteer Firefighters and Reserve Officers. Councilmember Advances, do we have any update?
No, we do not. We have not met yet.
Okay. Police Regional Transportation Planning Organization, Councilmember Fajarin.
Thank you. The board met March 10th. I had a work conflict, but I believe Frank was there to represent Pullman. But I do have some updates on some few things that happened there. The board adopted the 2026-2031 Regional Transportation Improvement Plan. This compiles federally funded projects across all 4 counties. For those who are unfamiliar with RTPO, it covers Assone, Columbia, Garfield, and Whitman. That includes the $1.9 million for the arterial streets resurfacing project covering Airport Road and Westwood. The board also received an update on the Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan. That's a mouthful. That's a federally required plan that looks to better coordinate transit services for seniors and people with disabilities and low income. That study is ahead of schedule. The public engagement plan is complete, and the board will be passing it soon, hopefully. And that's the update for our TPO.
Yep, that's me. All right. Brian and I have started. We're getting a thorough walkthrough of the city's checkbook. Jeff has been really helpful in helping us learn. We're reviewing how the funds flow, what bills are paid, and where our dollars go, and we've done it twice now, so we're still kind of in the learning phase. But it's a lot of fun.
Great. Library, Councilmember Parks.
At the last board meeting on March 18th, the library board saw a preliminary report from the design consultants that we had. We had a community meeting with them last fall, I think, or I don't know. Anyway, they gave some preliminary information, and we'll be sharing that out more widely. I'm pretty sure they'll probably come to council at some point. Otherwise, everything is going pretty well. They're working on their part of the comprehensive plan update. The library staff are. And, of course, the biggest development is the change of hours and the loss of staff. That's really putting an extra burden on the existing staff. And the patrons are, not real happy either, but they're doing a good job working through it. We have not really received any feedback from the community. And so then we're also thinking about maybe can we bring in volunteers to help with jobs like reshelving books and things like that. And that's about it right now.
Great. And
Thank
then
you.
you're also up for the left board, law enforcement officers and
Yes, and
firefighters.
that's just a meeting that every month we have, I think, 3 or 4. There's a, Dee should explain it. There's a state code that says a city has to provide, benefits for long-term care for public safety employees when they get older, when they need it. And so our job at that meeting is to approve every month. Dee gets all of the bills that are received by the city each month for each retired employee, and then it's a volunteer board, and I'm the council representative, and then the others are just our community members. And we just go through them and just ask questions if we need to, and we approve them. And that's just in the code that has to be done. So kind of a over view of every month of what's happening.
And that's specific to the left one group, not the other lefts. Next up, Downtown Pullman Association, Councilmember McDonald.
Yeah, so I'm still new at this one. Just got in last time we met. Downtown Pullman Association operates through 4 committees: economic vitality, promotion, design, and outreach. If you don't know about them, you can totally go to www.downtownpullman.org. The committee heads for the upcoming year have been identified, with the exception of economic vitality, which remains pending the outcome of the general vote. If Tani is not elected president, which I'm not betting for, she'll continue serving as the lead for economic vitality. Downtown Pullman Association is preparing for its annual meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for April 20th at Paradise Creek Brewery. We do need to give notice of 14 to 24 days in advance, and the notice of the elections must be issued at least 4 weeks prior, so we're working through that. Announcements for the open board positions will be shared on social media and in the monthly DPA email this week to meet those timeline requirements. Looking ahead, the DPA is planning its summer programming, including the Market on Main, Music on Main, and additional community events, pairing up with Pullman Downtown Promotions Group. And then efforts to secure B&O funds, we're still working on that, and we will continue to work on that through the end of Q1. And then the DPA also continues to invest in visual improvements for downtown buildings through its Beautiful Buildings grant program, which is still open and is still accepting applications.
Okay. And then for LTAC and Councilmember Wright.
Good evening. So I have served on the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission Board since 2010. And the reason I mention that is that every meeting I learn something new. And it's that dynamic of a group. But for those of you that aren't familiar, the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission is indeed an advisory commission to the City Council, who ultimately approves expenditures of tax dollars that have been gathered through hotel, motel, and short-term rental operations. And the purpose of this commission is to promote tourism and to market Pullman as a destination location. We recently expanded the number of people sitting on this commission, and so currently we have 3 people who represent the hotel, motel industry, and then 3 people who are actually recipients of those taxes. And when I say recipients, it means that we actually approve grant requests that come through looking for funding for events and projects and programs that would encourage and attract more tourism in Pullman. Most recently, we approved a grant request from the Market on Main, and we were just absolutely blown away by the enthusiasm of the people putting that together, and look forward to continuing to work with them in the future. So that was just a very quick overview of the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission. And one of the things that we're looking at doing this year, actually as grants come in, we review them individually, and any that come in by the monthly deadline, we will review at our next regularly scheduled meeting. What we're looking at trying to do is perhaps try a more programmed approach in that at a certain point in the year, we would ask for grant applications, consider them all at the same time, and then grant them accordingly, which seems to me would be a much better use of our time on the commission, as well as a more timely approach for those people that are thinking enough ahead to submit application for grants. So that's just one of the things in the hopper for right now, and I won't bore you anymore. That's a 30,000-foot view of 16 years on the Lodging Tax Commission.
Thank you. Blue Space and Aquifer Committee, Councilmember Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm sure many of us understand that our water comes from the Palouse Basin Aquifer, which is separated into the upper and the lower aquifer. The upper aquifer is mainly used by Moscow Municipal. The lower aquifer is used by both Moscow and Pullman. We've been monitoring these levels since about 1992. And the challenge with an aquifer system is it's extremely complex. It's difficult to know how much we have. We do know that the lower aquifer is being drained at about 0.72 feet per year. Despite our regulations on watering during the summer and better watering measures, this is continuing. Our use, both in Pullman and Moscow in the region, is increasing. So we need to look for an alternative supply. And the Palouse Basin Aquifer has started a feasibility study looking at exactly how we are going to do this. And I wanted to make sure that I have this right, so I asked them to send the information from our recent research colloquium, which was a group of scientists where we were explaining what our research is, and they were explaining what theirs is as well. So the Palouse Basin Aquifer will remain a primary water source, but a surface supplement is needed for long-term sustainability due to the observed long-term trend of decline in groundwater levels on the Palouse. After evaluating many alternatives, a diversion from the Clearwater River near its confluence with the Snake River appears most feasible. The current study is evaluating feasibility of diversion, conveyance, and treatment of Clearwater River water for use in the Palouse Basin. Supplemental water could be applied to direct consumption, aquifer recharge, or a mix of both. The preliminary study results are expected later in 2026. So currently, the project concept is a diversion somewhere near Lewiston, with approximately 40 miles of piping, multiple storage tanks likely needed, elevation from 740 to 2,960 feet, with most of the gain occurring in the first 8 miles of the alignment. The envisioned route likely follows SH 95. Treatment is likely near Moscow. Multiple end uses will be considered. The previous analysis suggested about 10 CFS of supplemental supply to stabilize aquifer levels over long-range time horizons. So as we go into the summer season, I know many people are going to be considering going against some of the watering regulations that we have. I would strongly encourage people to keep in mind that this is an investment for our future, for our children's and grandchildren's future. I don't have children, but this guy does. So think of him.
And grandchildren.
And grandchildren. He doesn't look old enough for that. So in any case, as far as the Palouse Basin, it's a very complex subject. You can look the information up. We have plenty of data out there. And I'm sorry for taking so long, Mayor. So,
Well, this is the first round, but we'll be doing this each month, so you won't have to repeat. We shouldn't have to repeat ourselves and just add what's new. Next up, the Capital Improvement Program, and Councilmember Wright again.
I won't be so long-winded on this one because we haven't met yet this year. First milestone is going to be Monday, April 7th, when the proposed capital improvement and transportation improvement plans are released. Please feel free to go to the City of Pullman website under the Community Development lineup and planning, because it is through the administration of the planning department that these plans are handled. So that's the best and the briefest information that I can share with you about CIP and TIP. Thank you very much.
And the last one, the Joint Planning Area Committee. I don't have any updates on that one. So the next item up is the City Administrator's Report.
Solid waste.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Oh, I think we skipped over solid waste.
We missed.
We can't forget solid waste.
that's a big one.
That is a big one.
I'm sorry. I had it checked off. Whitman County Solid Waste.
No, all good, all good. Can't forget solid waste. Lots going on. The county submitted the solid waste management plan. It's currently, it was accepted by Ecology on January 13th. I believe that Washington State Department of Ag has 120 days to review it, and that's a 5-year plan. I'd like to share some end-of-year numbers of 2025. On the limited purpose landfill, the county processed 33,348 tons of material, and I was looking to see what that equates to for visualization. 5,500 elephants or 150 statues of liberty. So that is a lot of trash. So learning a lot about solid waste. Thank you.
Okay. With that, now on to the City Administrator's Report.
Well, I get to use the karaoke mic here, so hit it. No, we are working on a bunch of things. So the biggest thing we've been dealing with the last week or so is after action on the flood. Our staff has come together. We've analyzed all the data that we've got, how our responses were, and our final staff after action report meeting is tomorrow at 10. And that'll be led by Fire Chief back there in the waving at us, Chief Scharnhorst. So after that, we should know a little bit more on how things operated, how we did as a response, and things we know we can do better. So that'll come after that. Later this week as well, I believe tomorrow, Mayor, Public Works Director, and myself will be meeting with a staffer from Representative Baumgartner's office tomorrow, and talking to him about other flood stuff maybe as well. And to pile on a little bit with Councilmember Weller, outdoor irrigation season begins June 1st, so you can water up until then, and then there's the schedule that's in play through September 30th. Unless we decide to go early, if it's a drought season, we have that option to initiate that earlier if we have to. And the CIP, TIP, those documents, Councilmember Wright, will be delivered to the CIP, TIP Committee, Planning Commission, and the Council on April 6th. This is when we anticipate that those will be sent out. And then encourage everybody, if you haven't signed up, you're too late, but the cabaret this Sunday, or Saturday, I'm sorry, at SEL.
I have 2 tickets if anybody wants them, so 2 extra tickets.
2 extra tickets. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
And we're scalping tickets now.
No, for free, for free. But I will give them away.
I understand. On to mayor's report. I had 2 items. One is doing double duty while I was back in DC. Also is back there with Whitman County, the Port of Whitman, along with the city of Moscow, related to the San Kirkendall, so the freight route that's being worked on. We met with all 6 congressional offices related to a federal ask related to that, and that grant cycle should be known in June, and that's related to the closing the gap on the money necessary for the planning side of it. So if that happens in June, that actually triggers to where they have the full funding for the planning, and it will start moving forward on the planning. The second one is, while I wasn't there, Councilmember Wright was able to be at the Inovia convention that happened this last week, and Pullman was highlighted, and I have a video for you to see how Pullman was highlighted that was pretty exciting. So if you could roll the video.
On September 13th, 2025, the streets of Pullman came alive for Pullman to Go and Gather, a community table event designed to do the simplest but most powerful thing: bring neighbors together.
You know, it's exciting if you look at what's happening tonight. We have our community table where we're inviting the community out, that's our neighbors, in order to come and have dinner together and enjoy each other. If you think about what's happening at a national level or state level, there's a lot of divisiveness. This is a way to bring people together, because as a community, we need to be able to work together. So the difficult things that are for us to solve isn't something that one group or just the city can solve or just the mayor can solve, but it's something that's going to require the community to come out and the community to work together. And so that's where I see this with the community table. It's building those relationships.
Pullman's community table is more than a meal. It's a reminder that when we gather, we open up possibilities for real collaboration and lasting connection.
That connection is the most important thing, is how do we get individuals in our community connected to each other and build those lifelong relationships. They're the ones that we need to have working alongside us in order to make Pullman an even better place than it already is.
That sense of belonging and the stories shared tonight are the seeds of stronger communities.
I love working with the Novi. I've been working with the Novi and serving in different capacities long before I was mayor. So I really appreciate just the dedication and support Inovia does.
That partnership continues. Inovia Foundation is launching a new community table grant program to support towns like Pullman in hosting their own gatherings, strengthening connection across Eastern Washington and North Idaho. The table's set. The invitation is open. Let's gather together.
So, and thank you, Councilor Fajarin, who's very instrumental in the community table last year, along with Councilmember DeLira. And excited, we're working on the scheduling for the next one. It's in August, September timeframe once again. But this is something where Novi actually highlighted Pullman, and then they're actually wanting to roll this out into other communities just because of how the response was for us. And, you know, a number of us were at that event, and it's one of those things I think we definitely want to continue to continue on and really highlight the great things about our community. So with that, we're on to presentations. We have Megan Vining, our Recreation Manager, and Kurt Damon, Parks and Facility Director, for the 2025 Parks and Recreation Annual Report.
Annual report. We're proud to share the report and reflect on a year of growth, improvement, and how we interacted with the community. So Megan and I will be tag teaming this, so I'm going to turn it over to her to talk about recreation.
Perfect. Good morning. Good morning. Oh my gosh. Good evening. Now you know how my day's been going. As Kurt mentioned, want to present to you our 2025 annual report. In 2025, we continue to provide diverse and engaging recreational programs for residents of all ages. Our commitment to providing a wide variety of programs catering to residents and to all age groups is centered on our mission and vision. Parks and Recreation aims to enhance the quality of life, economic prosperity, community well-being by offering diverse, high-quality parks and recreation programs, preserving open spaces, and fostering a safe, secure environment for current and future generations. As we go along through the slides, you can either follow along on the attached document that you have in your presentation, or you can follow along on the slides. We'll just be highlighting specific pages in the report. So, in 2025, we continue to collaborate with many partners, as many you can see on the screen, and cannot thank them all enough for their gift of time, talent, and treasure, supporting our entire department through our many programs, events, projects, fundraising campaigns, and scholarship programs for our participants to be able to participate in recreation and wellness activities. We collected over $20,000 in donations and sponsorships for our department last year. We were able to give away more than $18,000 in scholarships, with more than 400 awards that were given out to youth and families between the ages of 0 and 17. We could not have done that without the generous support of our many friends and partners, and we thank everyone. This year, we served more than 75,000 participants and welcomed over 147,000 total visits, showing just how important Parks and Recreation is to our community. We welcomed 456 new account users to our system, and we increased our number of individuals served by 12,000 and our participant attendance by 17,000 people. We continue to maintain a full preschool program with our 4 classrooms. We have a total of 64 children, and 30 of those graduated from our program. We offer a full slate of adult sports with over 12 leagues and tournaments, include pickleball, softball, basketball, volleyball, just to name a few, and we served over 1,000 participants in those programs. Adult wellness and enrichment served over 888 participants through yoga, bar, karate, Zumba, multiple dance styles, a variety of baking, first aid and safety, wreath making, sewing, and more. Our tween and teen division had an active year with a full year of our offering our brand new middle school program and our summer programs as well. Our youth division had a very successful year with both our school year and out of school year programs, serving over 4,600 youth combined with the teens, tweens, and youth programs. The Youth Athletics Division also had another year of significant growth with serving over 2,300 youth participants in 18 different sports leagues, parent and child programs, our Skyhawk sports camps, Leno Fest 3-on-3, and more. Moving on to our senior center. Our senior center and active adult programs had another superb year by serving over 25,000 seniors in our attendance and participation with activities. We had more than 7,200 visitors come into the center itself, and we served over 5,800 Council on Aging meals at the Senior Center on Tuesdays and Fridays. We increased the number of activities offered to the community as we continue to strive to meet the diverse needs of our residents. We also continue to have a very strong partnership with the Pullman Senior Center Association and its board, as they have grown their membership to 294 active members. In 2025, unfortunately, we saw the end of the long-term partnership with the Council on Aging with the closure of the senior nutrition program. However, we are very excited for a new partnership and the return of the nutrition program under new leadership. More to come soon on that. We served over 38,000 individuals within the Pullman Aquatic and Fitness Center and the Rainey Aquatic programs, including over 1,200 participants in swim lessons, and sold 241 WEX passes. We had over 15,000 membership check-ins at the Aquatic Center, and those were recorded for the second straight year. And we also had over 1,000 memberships sold specifically for the Aquatic Center, despite not selling annual memberships starting in August of 2024. After 25 years, we also said goodbye to the Pullman Aquatic and Fitness Center. We are grateful to the staff and community members who made it such a special place and look forward to its next chapter as the Schweitzer Wellbeing Center. Thank you again to Ed Schweitzer, Mary Schweitzer, Pullman School District, donors, supporters, staff members, and patrons. We could not have done it without you. Thank you so much, Pullman. Rainey Pool numbers included 142 Rainey annual memberships sold, which was an increase from 2024, almost 1,800 membership check-ins, over 3,200 drop-ins, and we served over 5,300 participants at Rainey. That includes WEX check-ins, drop-ins, special events, and the Barracudas summer swim team. The Barracudas team had another strong summer with 67 swimmers and brought home the Tri-County Swim League Championship. I am also happy to report that Kurt and I met with a room full of Barracuda swim parents and community members just last night in this room, and we had a great meeting. Together, we were able to reach a positive outcome that will allow for Barracudas to continue this summer, and through a few program changes that will help reduce program expenditures and through contributed donations and sponsorships, we will be able to continue the program with a very little, if any, increased program fee. Thank you to everyone who worked together to make this possible. In addition to our department's programs, activities, and special events, we also provided over 800 facility rentals at our recreation center, Pullman Aquatic and Fitness Center, Rainey Pools, as well as field rentals, and also at Sunnyside Gym. We continue to see an increase in recreation center rentals year-round, and for about 9 months of the year, we are open 7 days a week with the weekend open gyms and rentals. We have picked up many user groups with the closure of the Gladish Culture and Community Center, and we look forward to working with many groups and organizations to find the perfect space for you. We believe in fostering a sense of community through our many community events. Those include the annual egg hunt, as the mayor talked about earlier, our Care to Scare Halloween Carnival, Spooky Splash at the Aquatic Center, Arbor Day, Spring Cleanup, concerts in the park, movies in the park, and the Jingle Bell Run as part of the Holiday Fest. Our Parks and Recreation sponsored Lentil Fest events such as the 5K, softball tournament, and 3-on-3 continue to bring together our community and our residents. Our department staff participated in many other community civic fairs and events such as the Palouse Alliance Annual Networking Breakfast, Family Fair, WSU Center for Civic Engagement Campus Community Forum, and the Get Involved Fair, National Night Out at Rainey Park, and the National Lentil Festival, just to name a few. Also, a part of our community events, I am pleased to announce that we have received a presenting sponsorship for our Movies in the Park series, so we are able to continue with all 4 movies this summer. We will be releasing those 4 movie selections as voted on by the public in our upcoming release of our summer activity guide. So stay tuned for more details on that, and that's super exciting for our department as well. As you can see, the Recreation Division had another superb year, and I really want to express the ability to the council and then to the community as well that thank you for allowing us to serve you. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Kurt for his report on the Parks and Facilities Division.
Thank you, Megan. First, to kind of just get started, I'd like to just talk about a little bit of what we have or what is under the direction of Parks and Facilities, and gave a little bit of this information earlier this year to the council. Within Parks and Facilities, we have 12 developed parks, and we kind of break those into community parks, which are bigger parks like Sunnyside, Krugel, City Playfields, and Rainey. And then also our inclusive park, Mary's Park, which we opened a couple of years ago. And then we have what we term our kind of neighborhood parks, which would be like the Harrison Tot Lot, Terra View, or McGee Park. And then we also have probably about 6 undeveloped or kind of more natural areas, such as Conservation Park and Atani Park. We also have 2 active cemeteries in our division, City Cemetery out on Fairmont, and then Oddfellows out on West Main. In total, we have about 165 acres that the department maintains, and 19 miles of paved trails and about 1 mile of gravel path through Sunnyside Park. Some of the amenities you'll find also is that we have 8 playgrounds in our parks, 7 picnic shelters that we rent out. Actually, we have 18 outdoor tennis and pickleball courts, and 12 restroom facilities as well. One division that also under our purview is our facilities or building maintenance. We take care of about a total of 14 buildings within the city. So City Hall, the rec center, our fire departments, old City Hall still, library, and then also about 30 kind of smaller outbuildings that are kind of involved with water tanks and well houses, pump houses, those type of things. So last year we did about 754 maintenance tickets, and those kind of come in for things as light bulbs out, or I can't get the key out of my door lock. So a lot of, kind of preventative maintenance and do what we can in-house on all of these facilities. Talk a little bit about use of our facilities. We've got our RV park. Last year we had over just 1,000 nights of rental there. This was up from 882 the previous year. Our peak in RV nights was 2021, and we had kind of been on a slide, so it's kind of nice to see it rebound. Also rented out 793 nights at our tent site, which severely increased over last year in 24. 271 picnic shelter reservations, which was up from 234 in 24. And at our cemeteries, we had 49 burials this last year, which was up from 46 in 2024. Some of the projects or kind of our highlights from last year, what I really wanted to point it out, is our downtown hanging baskets. And where that all really starts back is at Lawson Gardens. This picture was probably, my hunch, taken early May last year. The greenhouse doesn't quite look like this right now, but everything is planted and is growing. Just kind of some numbers that on average we grow about 5,500 to 6,000 plants a year that are used at Lawson Gardens. And then also the picture there on the right is last year's downtown hanging baskets, which were part of the Main Street project. And providing those hangers, and then obviously the automatic irrigation goes a long way in helping establish baskets like this. And I thought last year's baskets looked pretty amazing, and we've heard that from a lot of community members. Pickleball courts, after about a 2-year process and a redesign, we opened up our pickleball courts in October of last year. If you would have seen these courts last Monday after our flood, about an inch of dirt, mud, debris. Special thank you to some of the members of the pickleball club and community members that came out last Monday night, cleaned off a bunch of debris. We got them hosed down and I think completed last Friday. Got the courts cleaned up and back open. Also, thank you to Leland Lawn, who sent out some of their crew members last Friday to do some extra cleanup down at the city playfields and kind of get things back in shape for us. Improved some landscaping there at the front of the city playfields as well, tore out some old landscaping and old sign, replaced a new sign, some of our aging signs at Spring Street, some directional signage on Stadium Way for McGee, and then Fountain for Sunnyside Park as well. Last fall, improved some landscape or added some landscape and irrigation at the Albion Roundabout, so more to probably come in that area a little bit more this year. Cougar Plaza, last August, early September, had a crew that repaired Cougar Plaza. That front wall there got pretty severely damaged in May of '22 by a car and was just deteriorating. So rebuilt that wall and did some cleanup on the back walls and preserving those as well. The Rainy Park gazebo, we replaced the stairs and the decking that was rotting away. So got that back in shape and just have a few touch-up things to do there. And then also our cemetery expansion. We expanded the cemetery in the fall of '24. This last year, our crews installed irrigation on about a third or half of the cemetery there, replanted. And so that was what it kind of looked like about October of last year. So coming in nice and excited about that. One other kind of major project that we undertook last year was the completion of our PROS plan, Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan. This was about a 18-month project that we started in about March of '24 and adopted, I think, about September last year. It is, to us, this would be our parks master plan and really our vision and guiding document for the next 10 years. This keeps us current and eligible for grant opportunities with the state Recreation and Conservation Office, something that we have to resubmit every 5 years. But just kind of a thank you to City Council for approving us to go ahead with bringing in an outside source, a third party, to do this document for us. We had done it about the previous 4 or 5 times in-house and felt as a staff and a department it was time to get an outside voice to really come in and critique and help guide us for the next 10 years. And also thanks to all our community members who participated in meetings, completed surveys for us, and then also our civic groups, a couple of our civic groups that contributed and gave a lot of valuable input in helping us shape this vision. So to kind of wrap up here, Megan and I would like to extend our gratitude for all our dedicated parks, recreation, facility staff, city administration that help with programs, and our volunteers, community members, sponsors, and just all the individuals who participate in our programs, help our programs and facilities thrive, and really couldn't do it without them. So thank you basically to the Pullman community. And with that, we will take any questions.
Thank you very much. And I know in the agenda it said non-discussion. That was incorrect. So in case there's a question. So does anybody have any comments or questions related to this? Councilmember Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, Megan, I gotta say I'm so impressed by how recreation has grown and so many programs, not only for young but old as well. I hear constantly when I'm at the gym, older individuals will come and speak so highly. And I have to say, in the 80s, I was started at Parks and Rec on my fitness journey through Pullman Parks and Rec. So I'm a product of it, so I'm glad to see things such as martial arts and baseball and swimming continuing, so thank you so much. I want to say also to Kurt, you know, it's really stellar, the department, the staff, I mean, both of you, and the fact that there's so many projects that not only have been done previously, but are coming up, you know, the Veterans Park, the Memory Park, which there's only a few in the entire nation, and you're working on that, I know, with a group of individuals. So thank you both so much for all your work. So,
Councilmember McDonald.
So I definitely want to echo Nathan's comments. I think one of the most highly regarded programs in the region, and so many people appreciate the services you guys provide. I love the way the baskets looked last summer, and some of those landscaping projects looked fantastic. I was at the meeting last night, the brainstorming meeting that you ran, Megan, and I'm just going to say it was the best meeting yet that I've been at related to the city. All the brainstorming, all the encouragement, everybody, like you could tell how much people valued the services that you guys provide and how much you care about providing those services for the community. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, anyone who came and listened to Lucas's ideas at City Council a few weeks ago. I'm telling you, if you liked that, you would have loved yesterday's meeting. I'm super stoked to hear that that service is getting provided and the collaborative brainstorming that led to that. So thank you.
Thank you for coming and supporting us.
Councilmember Parks?
Thank you. I just want to, again, say thank you to you two, and I think Councilmember McDonald really hit on an important point, is the way you two and your departments care. It isn't always that you hear gratefulness. Not in our city, we do, but I mean, for you to say thank you, Pullman, thank you for participating, and I just always think, well, thank you for all of the offerings that you make available to all ages, all abilities. And so I just think we're very, very fortunate. And I was in another meeting talking about youth activities around here. And I said, well, we have a really, really good, excellent parks and recreation programs. And the person I was talking to who was not from here said, oh, I know that. I have heard that about Pullman. And I was like, yeah, snaps. So anyway, I just want to give you that little thank you so much.
Councilmember Vance?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for the update. And I think for myself, I get to enjoy our parks, and I don't really see the sort of all the work that goes into it. And so, and it's kind of a good thing, right? I'm walking around these beautiful facilities, and I'm not even having a second thought about like how these are maintained or taken care of. So thank you for that, and the offerings that recreation also provides to the community. And Brian was sharing how collaborative the meeting was last night. I was bummed I wasn't able to attend, but to hear that is so inspiring. So thank you for always, working and collaborating to get to yes. So thank you.
Thanks.
With that, great job, and definitely your leadership is appreciated, as in how that leadership has flowed down through your staff and involvement in the community. You put a great face on Pullman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also, thank you, Eric, for coming last night, too.
Next item up is the consent agenda. While these items are I was going to say, we have two items that are on the consent agenda. And so I'd first of all entertain a motion to read the consent agenda in its entirety.
So move.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For that, Thad, if you could read the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 2011-33798 through 2011-33907, totaling $429,305.53. The second item is a motion to approve disbursements for electronic transfers numbered 667 through 671 and 674 through 690, totaling $1,599,016.31.
Are there any items that the council would like to remove from the consent agenda? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the two items.
Move to approve. So, second.
With that, any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Now on to agenda items, and we have up is this economic vitality discussion, and we got three different parts to it as a part of it. You're up, yes. And so the first one, Economic Development Manager Sean Miller.
Before we get going on this, Mayor, this is a series for economic vitality that we're going to bring a little bit this month and a little bit next month. The agenda, like the mayor said, we've got a little bit of Sean Miller here for economic development. We've got Jeff Elbrecht, which will talk about some comparables and why we compare Pullman to other cities and when we don't compare Pullman to other cities. And then the last part will be RJ Lott and I talking with Kenny Renstrom and talking about kind of the development climate for new construction, reconstruction, and such. So with that, I turn it over to Sean Miller.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Council, for having me here tonight. Tonight, we're going to be going over a little bit of the economic development situation here in Pullman, just to give you guys a highlight of what's happening, what we want to do, and kind of what we're seeing in the community. So this is a little bit of a three-parter, and you'll kind of notice as we go through. So it would help me a ton. If you've got any questions throughout here, just save them to the end, and we'll hit them all at the same time. I wanted to take a moment to kind of clearly define what business-friendly means in a practical sense for economic development. I think it's a buzzword, kind of a buzz phrase that we've heard around town. And we broke those down into different situations, different pillars, if you will, to kind of highlight what business-friendly means to us, how we're accomplishing that now, and what we could do better in the future. And so I want to be very open to improvement and understanding what's the need from the community so that we can continue getting better all the time. The core message for this presentation really comes down to answering the question of how do we find our way to yes, and how do we communicate that to our business partners? I want to jump right into the key pillars of a business-friendly community. Number one being a clear and understandable process. So one big thing that's important for us with business is identifying the unknown for an entrepreneur so that they understand when we take away the unknowns for an entrepreneur, they have the freedom to move forward with less risk when they know what's going to happen. I do highlight our current approach and the opportunity for improvement for each of these pillars. I won't go super in depth with each one of them just for time. One that stood out to me for this, Councilmember Weller, you asked the question last time I was here about websites and documents to help people through these things, how to get a business license in Pullman, how to identify land in Pullman that might be for sale. And I told you when I stood up here that we're just a couple months away from being able to do that, and I haven't held that timeline true. So I wanted to apologize and let you know that that's something I'm going to go back and look at. It was a good reminder going over this of the things that I've kind of left behind while I've worked on other projects. And so I wanted to thank you for that question last time, and get a hold of me in a couple weeks and make sure you're holding me accountable to getting that on the website. That's going to be a big help. We do have documents that are going to help people through these things, help them understand what it means to have a business license in Pullman and run a business here in Pullman. Responsive customer service is the number two portion, and I think a lot of that is, for me, I kind of thought through this for customer service. A lot of times somebody will call and I'll have to refer them to either a different department or somebody externally, one of our partners with the Small Business Development Center, maybe the port, people like that. And sometimes I'll give them the phone number. And I think a better way to do that would be a warm handoff to say, hey, I want to take your phone number. I want to talk to Juan Garcia with the SBDC. Let him know your story, and then I'll have him reach out to you. I think a warm handoff would create a more friendly approach to that, so we're not leaving them with all the legwork to do. Predictability and consistency. I want to be more consistent with the expectation setting and helping people to understand what timelines look like, and again, kind of erase some of those unknowns as we move forward. You'll see that that's kind of a common theme as we move forward, is erasing unknowns for our entrepreneurs here in Pullman so that they have a clear path forward. Number 4 is problem solving within the rules. We do have things, I think, an education standpoint where sometimes I have to say, hey, this is a decision that council has to make, or this is a regulation that's set forward by the state, or sometimes that is a decision I get to make and we can move forward with that. But being very clear about how to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish and setting that clear path. I think that rolls a little bit into number 5 as well, with efficient processes and continuous improvement. I've outlined a little bit in here the SCALE program, which is the Streamlined Concepts for Advancing Local Enterprises. That's something that when I started here in Pullman, I sat down and took a couple months to build templates for marketing plans, business plans, for understanding different things that all different kinds of businesses could run into while they're setting up their business and trying to be successful here in Pullman. The reason I did that was so I could create business plans much faster than, I guess, the normal sitting down and kind of writing everything out. I'm using templates, using different processes to make it quicker, and that allows me to create business plans for some of our businesses within a couple days. So usually it's a 2-day timeline for me to create a business plan. I want to make that a little bit more available for our business owners here in Pullman. Now, last year we did 21 businesses in scale, versus the 180 that I spoke with that were just calling to say, how do I get a business license? Sometimes that's just a conversation on the phone and a follow-up email. But I wanted to make sure you guys understood the difference between scale and just kind of what I would consider a normal business interaction. So I just explained the normal business interaction with the business license. This would be more of a scale document. Okay, this is a scale draft that I did for one of our local nonprofits. So a little bit of an investment strategy for what they were doing, understanding donation processes and what that lines into with taxes, legal risk and management considerations, insurance considerations. It's really a full umbrella on what they're doing as a business. So oftentimes these are just a lot more robust 30 to 40 page documents versus a very simple follow-up email. I want to make sure entrepreneurs here in Pullman know about this program and know that it's something that's available for them. I've not had a business come back and say that they were disappointed in the SCALE program. So we're really excited about that. Just want to make sure that people know about it. We need to have a culture that values business success. And I think that's a big one. You know, I think we do value business success here in Pullman. Sometimes we just need to be more vocal about it, be more cheerleader, excited about the businesses that are succeeding, really highlight them, and then let them know how much we appreciate the fact that they're operating here in Pullman. I think if we can do all those things, then we can kind of alter the perception of how business happens here in Pullman. There are certain things that we can control and some things that we can't. One thing that we control is just, you know, our own demeanor when we're working with our entrepreneurs and making sure that they understand that we care about their well-being and what it takes for them to move forward. So that's a commitment to improvement that I have as we move forward. I think Pullman should be a place where businesses feel supported, informed, respected throughout their interactions with the city. The goal is not to claim perfection, but to demonstrate a clear standard of service and commitment as we move forward. Part 2 is going to be a report that I've got in here from a company called Claritas. This is called an opportunity gap report. So what this shows, if you'll turn to the third page of this section, you'll see a map with a border drawn around it, around Pullman here. So what this report shows is everybody within that border, it's going to show how much they spend on a certain type of product and how much they spend in Pullman on that certain type of product. So if we look 30,000 foot, we just look at the top numbers, we know that the people here in Pullman in 2025, this is a snapshot of 2025, spent about $752 million, and $346.7 million of that was spent within Pullman. Okay, you can go down and see the different types of businesses that could be something that would be prosperous here in Pullman. You know, we can look down and I'll just touch on it real quick. Just even the general merchandise retailers, we can see that we're leaving about $109 million on the table from our own Pullmanites leaving this area to go spend elsewhere. Okay? I'm happy to go over that report with you afterwards. I'll stick around, and if you want more information on this, I can give you that. The second part of that report is, that was a 5-mile radius. This is a 25-mile radius. So what we see is that there's actually value supported in that 20-mile radius, 25-mile radius that Pullmanites are spending still within this 25-mile radius, but outside the 5-mile radius. So there's opportunity to capture here. Our goal kind of moving forward is, how do we keep Pullman's money in Pullman? And so we'll move to section 3 and talk a little bit about the Pullman retail leakage capture strategy. I think the plus side is that we know there's approximately 405 million in unmet retail demand. While that's not necessarily a plus side, the plus side to it is that we can create businesses or invite businesses here that match where that gap is and try to kind of close that corridor. So some things that I want to do about that is I've kind of identified in the key findings here, significant retail leakage just outlined in general merchandise, 109 million, grocery and food retail, 40 million plus, furniture, electronics, appliances, 32 million plus, and it goes on. As I said, the regional market confirms the viability within that 5-mile range because the 25-mile shows that the customer base does exist, the spending's already occurring, and businesses are viable in the market. We just don't necessarily have them here in Pullman. So we need to make sure that we're, again, being very prevalent or understanding very well the customer behavior patterns as we go there. The key driver of leakage, retail leakage, is trip-based spending behavior. So residents travel outside Pullman for certain goods and experiences. While they are there, they complete additional shopping and dining. And again, this creates a compounding effect where multiple categories of spending leave Pullman in a single trip. The majority of economic impact comes from the additional shopping and dining that occurs once a trip begins outside the city. So that takes us to a strategic objective. If we can shift Pullman's economic development from general business recruitment to a targeted retail capture, I think we'll have a lot better luck. Again, we're not throwing a net out anymore. We're going after specific businesses that fill these gaps, and we're ensuring that they understand what kind of leakage we have and what they could bring to the city of Pullman. Some of those strategic actions that I have, I've got some different types of businesses identified here on section 1 that show our highest leakage, kind of coupled with the ability to get these types of businesses here. So for instance, we saw a really large number on motor vehicle and parts dealers, but a lot of times when you've got something like a car dealership that takes a lot of land, it might be more difficult to get a car dealership here, that type of stuff. So it's a little bit lower on the list, but still prevalent. We want to develop trip interception zones. Okay, so priority areas would include major corridors, leaving Pullman, high-traffic commuter routes, and edge-of-town commercial nodes. And then recruit anchor retail businesses, so mid-sized grocery, discount general merchandise, apparel and lifestyle retail change, and destination dining that will complement all the businesses that we already have here in Pullman. A big part of this is the opportunity that we have to prepare development-ready sites. I was telling my wife when I was kind of preparing for this, when we got a car recently, we didn't go to the junkyard and say, that's the car we want, because if we put some money into that, it could be really, really great. No, we said, that's the car we want because it's awesome like where it is right now, right? That's what a lot of these businesses are looking for. They want a site that's developed and prepared for them to kind of move in and build. And we have the opportunity to kind of take some of those steps towards that. It might be pre-aligning zoning, utilities, things like that. So something for us to look at, identify different locations that work and move on from there. Again, kind of coupling this with the first part of this is strengthening those business-friendly processes. Reframing that public narrative to understanding that we have more than $400 million that leave Pullman every year, I think is going to be a big part. It's not creating a new demand, it's just capturing what's already there. And I think that's a lot easier than creating something new. I've got an implementation timeline here for you for the next 30, 60, and 90 days. Expected outcomes listed there as well. And I'm excited to kind of follow up with you guys about this as we move forward. So at that, I'd like to turn it over to any questions that you guys might have.
So with that, Councilmember Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great presentation. Really liked it, Sean. A few things. One, really appreciate what you said. It's not about perfection. I always believe it's progress, not perfection. And the thing about cheerleader, absolutely, but also I see you as a coach. And so especially for internal customers, entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
My questions revolve more around a few things. One, do we have a promotional package for Pullman? Two, do we have a pitch deck that we can give when we're targeting, 3, 5 minute, 10 minute if they're actually super interested? Because those are the things that I think having the promotional, being able to say we've got this awesome community, awesome culture, here is our objective, so on and so forth. So I'll be quiet. I've started timing myself so I can work on my brevity, and just let you answer.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Weller. We don't have those necessarily set in stone where when somebody's interested in moving to the area, we can kind of click a button and send it to them. I think there's a portion of that we could create that would be something like a one-pager or a very brief outline of this is what Pullman is, this is why we're awesome, and this is why you want to come here. We've had pretty successful meetings in the past when somebody is interested in coming here and kind of identifying what type of business they're in and then really generating a meeting around that type of business so that we can be very specific. But at the same time, I think you're right. Sometimes time is a factor, and we need to be able to kind of get that first foot in the door to have the second conversation. And building something like that is something that we've talked about for a long time, and we've not necessarily executed it to its fullest potential. So I think that's a great idea and something that we'll put together.
As part of a relocation packet, that's something that has been put together, the chamber has as a part of the tourism, as our tourism program. But if it's specifically for a business outreach, I think that's what you're more speaking to, is the business outreach side.
Yes, ma'am.
So if there is relocation packets that are available through the chamber as a part of our tourism piece.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Vance.
Thank you for the packets. These are great. And I like what you had to say in here. I like that we're kind of going through this methodically and kind of stepping through. I do have a couple questions. With scale, what does that cost look like to the potential business?
Yeah, that's the best part. I always used to say that I was in small business banking before this, and this is a lot like small business banking, except I don't have to charge anybody anything. And so that's what the cost is for an entrepreneur coming to me. Whether I spend 5 minutes with them or whether I spend 5 weeks with them, we don't charge them a penny.
Nice. And then I think I have one other one, and I might have another one that comes up towards the end, is in the strategic actions section. I know something that I've talked about with my wife is hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had a Costco here? That would be a huge draw, and I'm sure that's something that you've thought of as well. What sort of, and Nathan kind of mentioned it, what type of strategy are you employing to bring in big box retailers like that will draw into the area?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And a lot of that is highlighting what we're doing now. We started a little bit last year, the beginning of last year, trying to increase sales and foot traffic in Pullman in general. And a big part of trying to start small and build downtown foot traffic was the market. Now, this is very big picture for the whole of Pullman, but that was a good starting point for us. I think, by the time... let's see where we are now. I think we'd probably sent about between 12 and 13,000 people downtown for the market on Main. So that was a really big win. When you market yourself to these larger retail chains, they don't say, hey, that's great, let's go to Pullman and check it out. They oftentimes are going to open a computer, they're going to use their software, and they're going to see what type of foot traffic and what type of sales that community supports. And by showing that we have more foot traffic downtown, I felt like that was, again, a leg up on kind of moving in the right direction. And so that was a big starting point for us. Again, I don't want to focus too much on it because we do need to kind of expand our scope to the entirety of Pullman. But that's our start. And I think things like using a gap analysis tool like what we've got in the packet today is a really great highlight that you can take to a company and say, look, we've got... I think for somebody like Costco, it was $109 million of retail leakage within Pullman. So that's got to be appetizing, as a person that's looking for a new location. So it's not just that. We need to have sites identified, sites prepared, things like that. But it's a big first step.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vance.
Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Sean. Great report. So my questions deal specifically with the opportunity gap information. And I noticed a couple of things on both the 5-mile side and the 25-mile side, where there are, where the demand is less than what the supply is. So does that mean that, help me understand this, that we are oversupplying in some of these categories?
That's correct, Councilmember Wright. That we do have oversupply in not ton, probably less than 10 different types of businesses, but yes, there are certain, and that could also mean that we're, you know what, why don't I'll get you a better explanation of that. That is what it means, but I want to dig in and kind of give you a little bit more comprehensive report on that, and
Okay.
I'll let you know
Okay.
the ins and outs for
That's
it, for
great.
sure.
And the other question that I had is, if there is one business that provides multiple products or multiple services, they get counted separately?
They should be in
In
just
each-
one,
Just one so for example, let's take Neil's Flowers and Gifts. Says it right in its
yeah.
location description. So do they get counted florist and then get counted for gifts, or they only get counted for whatever their predominant service offering happens
That's
to
a
be?
really great question. They are counted one time. So this report, as you kind of see, if at the tail end of every description, there's either, depending on which one it is, there's a set of numbers for the NAICS code. Now, that NAICS is when they go and they register with the state of Washington, they have to say that this is an NAICS that best represents the business that I'm conducting within Pullman, and that's where we'll see it on the report.
Okay. And then my last question, sorry, and then I'm done. Are businesses that are located at WSU that are operated either by the university or privately, are they included in this as well?
That's a really good question as well. I want to say that they should absolutely be included on this report. Again, maybe that's one that I don't want to come out of this with giving you the wrong answer. So that's another one that I'll just look up and make absolutely sure that that's correct before I send it to you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Any others? Councilmember Schumas?
Great, thank you. First off, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to be in a town that understands that economic development is important and has a person in that position, and I'm really grateful to you that it's you. I really have loved getting to know you and work with you.
Thank you,
And right off the beginning, I enjoyed your humility when you said, like, these are things that I'm working towards and I haven't gotten to them yet. You don't always hear people that are willing to say, you know, like, here's this gap, but I'm willing to work towards it, and that's really appreciated. And then for people that can't see this, where we have a surplus is in alcohol sales, because win or lose, Cougs booze. Just so you guys that don't have this, that's where that is. And then my big question is do we have specific sort of retailers like Nike or Costco? Like, are there people that we do have like whiteboard that we're like out there trying to look for? You don't have to answer who. I'm just trying to say, like, do we have a plan? Do we have something that we're like shooting for?
That's a great question. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comments too at the beginning. We do have certain businesses that we've identified. Oftentimes, they're identified through working with the building owner. And so, for instance, I'll work with a building owner, and depending on what type of building they have and the amount of square footage, that sort of thing, the amount of storefront, everything goes into the calculation for a lot of these big box retailers. I've heard stories that, from one of our building owners that business they were trying to get into their building, they were 2 feet short of the required store frontage. And that was a deciding factor for that business to pull out and decide, if we're not able to check everything inside every box, then we're not going to move forward with this. So we're learning as we go with things like that. How do we get around those things? How do we develop a relationship that's going to make somebody say, you know what, we're a couple feet short, but this is a great community. But oftentimes when we're working with a specific retailer or a specific store, we're looking at what type of building is there, what is, Are there any types of requirements that come along with that? Sometimes with a stretch of buildings, you might have people who have signed, businesses who have signed contracts in there, and they've said, we'll sign a contract if you don't get another competitive business in this other spot. So we need to be really careful about who we recruit. We don't want to get somebody on the hook and get down the road and then show up and say, oh, as it turns out, this other business is going to deny your application. So we're very careful with that. We've got to go business to business. I'm excited to kind of expand that as we look at these types of gap reports, identify the businesses we as a city want to go after, and what can we do to make sure that we have an area that's prepared as best we can for a business like that. I think that puts us in the best position moving forward.
And I'll use an anecdotal where I know of one national chain where they've identified Pullman is the #1 place they want to put their next store. But they're trying to find the business owner that wants to connect with them. And so using that as an example. So it's working from both sides. Councilmember Parks?
Thank you. And thank you so much for all of this. It's just really, really informative. And I appreciate the work that I've had with you in the past as well. You've been very helpful. It brought to mind your last answer is when you're recruiting, I know it's building owners and business owners, but are developers ever considered as somebody that, hey, maybe this developer would build it or would get behind it? Is that ever a part of it?
I think that's a great question. Yeah, absolutely, Councilmember Parks. There's, I think, as we kind of move forward with some of the items within this report that we want to kind of push forward, a relationship with developer is going to be extremely important. There are some opportunities that we can talk about at another time that definitely require a developer to kind of partner with the city in that public-private partnership to move forward on the same type of situation, preparing a location and kind of moving forward. So there's been some there's certain builders or developers in town that we've gotten, had been lucky enough, I should say, to start relationships with, and I'm really excited to see where those go. But yes, to answer your question, there are relationships that we're building with developers to make sure that we're prepared and ready for things like this.
Councilmember McDonald?
Yeah, I'd just like to pull a little bit on that string about the, couple of feet short or whatever. And I think that really falls right into what we're talking about as a city about getting to yes, right? The beginning of the report was very focused on making sure they know the rules. And I think one of the things that we want to make sure is that, things are as simple as possible, but no simpler. And so when there's a case where we have some sort of rule that's in place because of a corner case of something that happened one time, definitely, I hope that's one of those things that you can bring to the forefront for us is where are those places where maybe we can get a little bit better at getting to yes, or just make sure that we are good all the time at getting to yes so we don't lose those opportunities. Again, right, that's our goal, get into yes, so.
You're absolutely right, Councilmember McDonald. And I think that's a big part of it is just understanding and kind of educating and putting it out there how we get to yes for the certain thing. There's going to be certain things that are really easy. We can do X, Y, Z and fix it. And then there's going to be other things that we can't always say, right away, this is something where we're going to have to make a zone change or, there's going to be a big change that's required for this. And say it in a way that doesn't point them the other direction, but just educates them along the way and kind of gives them those warm and fuzzies to kind of move forward with the project that they want to do.
Great, thank you very much. On to our next item under Economic Vitality, Finance Director Jeff Albrecht.
Good evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about comparisons and kind of the value of comparing to other cities, the challenges of comparing to other cities, and some things to kind of consider as you do it. Comparing to other communities is a really important way to gather information. It can provide a lot of guidelines, provide examples, but the one thing you need to keep in mind when doing comparisons is you have to understand the context at which you're comparing it to. The smaller the comparable set, the more critical it is to do that. So if we just start saying we want to compare ourselves to just Moscow or to just Walla Walla or to just Clarkston or whatever, you want to be very cautious of that because there's a lot of variables. Pullman is a unique community, and it's what makes Pullman wonderful, to be honest with you. But as we found in a lot of different settings, it's hard to compare because of the various factors. And I want to talk about a few things that are challenging as we look at it. One of the things is access to data. We are pretty fortunate in Washington. I primarily use kind of three main sources of comparing data, and at least for financial and demographic purposes. AWC, Association of Washington Cities, has a lot of self-reported data. For example, I used some of that data when we talked about the utility tax, for example. MRSC, which is, again, a Washington-based entity, they report out a lot of required data. They have a lot of sales tax data, a lot of those types of things. And then the state auditor's office actually has a lot of information, believe it or not. A lot of times, the auditor can provide high-level looks at other cities and allow you to compare yourselves. So we do have a lot of sources. A lot of those are primarily limited to Washington because of our nature of being a member of AWC or obviously the requirements we have for the state auditor's office. But those are good sources, but again, they're usually high level. So you kind of then need to start high and then dig down to really understand the context. One of the biggest troubles we have in that is population and demographics. Give you an example, there's 75 cities in the state of Washington that are between 10,000 and 75,000. So Pullman's kind of right in the middle, around 34,000, right? There's only 8 cities in the state of Washington between 30 and 40,000. There's not a lot. So that makes it a little hard sometimes to find comparables that we're not comparing ourselves to, a small community or, comparing ourselves to Spokane or Seattle or something along those lines. As I think most people are aware, there's a lot of differences between Eastern Washington and Western Washington. Not good, bad, but it is different. Generally, Western Washington has different property valuations. They have different cost of living, different industries that drive it. You might have a community similar to the size of Pullman, but its proximity to a major city is very close, which means you have different services, different amenities, all sorts of different things. So I mentioned there's 75 cities in Washington between 10 and 75,000. Only 14 of those are on this side of the mountains. Out of the 30 to 40,000, only 8 are this side of the mountains. 3 of the 8 are this side of the mountains, and that's Walla Walla, Wenatchee, and Pullman. So it kind of limits. If we really want to look just geography and population, we've already nailed it very significantly. And again, the smaller the comparable group, the more cautious you kind of need to be of the data. Obviously, as people are aware, Pullman is it's very strongly impacted by the college. College town creates uniqueness, it creates wonderful opportunities, and it creates challenges, to be honest with you. College properties aren't taxed, for example. So when you look at a significant amount of land mass and a significant amount of buildings in Pullman are not subject to property tax, that creates some challenges. Consumer habits of college students obviously are significantly different. So when you have a major portion of your population that is college students, their consumer habits are much different than a more traditional residential community. There's different needs for services. Transit services in Pullman are probably a higher demand because of this population we have than you'd find in a lot of other communities, right? Right now, if you kind of look on this side of the state, there's probably 2 cities that have major college populations, Cheney and Ellensburg. Eastern Washington and Central Washington are facing similar challenges in enrollment that WCU is. And they've seen some of the declines. And the change in college enrollment doesn't always proportionally match the changes. So if we lose a significant amount of students, that's different than losing a significant amount of what I call permanent residents. And of course, some of those students qualify as residents and some don't, depending on where they are. And of course, WCU is a highly residential campus. So there is a fair number of students that aren't citizens of Pullman. There is a lot of students that are. They register off campus, they register to vote, whatever the case may be. So the services provided by cities, actually, believe it or not, can vary significantly. There's a lot of cities that don't have their own fire department. They're part of a larger fire district. There's a lot of cities, there's actually only 4 cities in the entire state of Washington that have their own transit system. We're one of only 4. Everett and Yakima being 2, and then Ellensburg has one, although they contracted out, so they don't even operate it themselves, but it is part of the city. So that's a very unique thing to Pullman, and I'm guessing, again, somewhat dictated by our population and demographics. So when we talk about tax revenues and we talk about going to transit, most other cities, there's other taxes applied, but that goes to a transportation benefit district or a regional district or some of those types of things. Waste management, a lot of cities actually have their own waste management service. Pullman's is privatized. We actually don't have a waste management, which is a little unique. So the services can vary significantly. So when we start comparing 2 cities, we need to be aware of what services they provide, what ones we provide, and those types of things. Border and comparison, as we look at out-of-state comparisons, particularly with Oregon and Idaho as the border states, it's good to compare us to some of those cities, but they have significantly different tax structures in those states. Both Idaho and Oregon have state income tax. Washington doesn't. Wonderful reason to live in Washington is you don't have to pay state income tax. But what that does mean is there is a lot of other taxes in Washington that are higher, right, for that reason, which was understandable because you still need to support those services. So, Oregon doesn't have sales tax at all. Idaho does. It's generally only at the state level. They don't have it at the local level because a lot of the local funding comes from distributions of either the state sales tax or income tax or other tax distributions. So typically in most cases, well, obviously in the case of Oregon where they don't have sales tax, but in most cases you're going to see higher sales tax rates in Washington than you will in Idaho, partly because a lot of times there's a local piece to that. There's also differences in specific items. If I go over to Idaho and I go to the grocery store over there, I'm going to pay sales tax on packaged groceries. You're not going to pay that in Washington. So there's a lot of differences. The tax structure is significantly different in those states. In some cases, it's advantageous to live and to be in Washington. In some cases, it might be advantageous to be in a different place. And you just need to keep that in mind as you do some of those comparisons. Again, data availability is a little bit more difficult outside of the state of Washington because we don't have the partnerships with AWC or the state auditor's office or some of those things like we do here. So just to summarize, you'll probably hear us talk about different comparisons. I'm not going to go into specifics tonight by any means, but you will hear. A lot of times I'll kind of cast a fairly broad net on my comparisons and then maybe dive into certain specifics as you need. Pullman is a very hard one to compare to. Walla Walla's probably the closest comp we have, but even that, there's certainly some differences there. They, are a border town. They do have a similar population. They are this side of the state. They don't have some of the services. They don't have their own transit service. They have some student population, probably not as heavy, obviously, as Pullman does percentage-wise. So it really is hard to find. So if you want to find, we're going to look at these 3 cities for everything, that's probably not going to be feasible in most cases. Sometimes it can be hard to normalize the data as you're looking at the comparisons, like how do we normalize this based off of the various variables, population, border, community, those types of things. And you need to really balance that sample size with what truly is a good comparable. So this, you can cast a very wide net in comparison to every city in the state, or you can shrink it, which has some advantages at times, but sometimes might not be relevant. If you're trying to compare Pullman to Seattle, that's probably not real relevant in most cases anyway. So really, I guess the key I want to kind of come across is really understanding the context of the data, knowing that there really is no perfect answer. I guess at the end of the day, there really is no place like Pullman, and to be honest, that's what I love about Pullman. That's why I live here, I think that's great. A couple other things I want to touch on, just kind of general finance-wise as we continue to have financial discussions over the next several months. Really, when we talk a lot about our financing, there's the general fund. And again, just a reminder, the general fund really is police, fire, library, parks and rec, community development, and our administration and finance. And then there's kind of our special purpose or enterprise funds, and those are really streets, utilities, and transit. The general funds and the special purpose enterprise funds make up almost everything the city does. There's a few other little pockets here and there, but that really is. General fund really is meant to be tax-supported activities, not exclusively, but for the most part, those are things that is tax-supported. They're the basic services the community provides. 70% of the revenues used to support the general fund come from some type of tax. property tax, sales tax, utility taxes, emission taxes. So 70% of that revenue comes from taxes. So if tax revenue lags, police, fire, library, parks and recreation, community development, and finance and administration are the most challenged. Additionally, 70% of the expenses for those areas are people. So it's our personnel, it's our staff. So there's a very direct correlation between tax revenue and staffing levels in those areas. The special purpose and enterprise funds, those are primarily self-supported, mostly through fees and grants. So 70% of our enterprise funds are supported through self-generated funds, and that's the biggest being expenses for utilities, water, sewer, those types of things. And the next biggest is grants. So our transit system, our streets, and our utilities are primarily supported through either self-generated funds or grants. There is a little bit of tax money in there, but the biggest piece is. So if grants suffer, or if rates don't match appropriately expenses, those funds suffer. So I think a lot of times people look at it as a lump sum, and it is at the end of the day, but different revenue sources can affect different areas within the city differently, and I want to make sure we understand that as we have ongoing conversations. So with that, I'd open up to any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember McDonald?
So I definitely appreciate you sharing the information and the challenge about like comparing with different cities. I love that you threw out some different ideas that were probably close. The mayor talked about the changing demographic, that maybe we're getting less and less of a super heavy school demographic. I know I'm one of the people that pushes for us to have those comparables. And the way I like to think of it is if I had a house and I had decided I really wanted a pool or I really wanted a trampoline, maybe I'll have different insurance rates than my neighbors. What I would want to know is, why do I have an insurance rate that's higher? It's like, okay, yeah, but I want a pool. Or it's like the trampoline is like, I'm the hero of the neighborhood, whatever it is. You know, it's like, it's totally worth it. But if it's like, I can't swim, I never put water in the pool, it's like, that's something for me to be like, you know, like, what should I do there, right? If I drive a Lamborghini or I drive just an EV, or I drive a 2000 Corolla, I'm probably going to make different decisions and I'm going to get different rates. And I want my insurance company to be like, dude, just to be clear, I don't drive a Lamborghini, but if I did, I want the insurance company to be like, I'll be like, what? My insurance is crazy. It's like, I want the insurance company to be like, dude, it's because you drive a Lamborghini. What do you think, right? And if it's a Corolla, it's like, yeah, from 2000, it's like, you know what? Maybe you don't need comprehensive insurance for that thing, you know? So I think that's the part that for me is super, super valuable, is the context for, okay, why do we have a transit, or why do we do that? And because that really helps me with understanding, okay, like just putting everything into perspective. So just trying to share a little bit of like why I always push for that. So
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I think comparing yourself to other cities is absolutely wonderful, but I think you brought up the good question of, but then you ask why? Why is this different, or why should this be a good comp? So
I wish I drove a Lamborghini. Just to be clear. Sometimes. During the snow? Sometimes. Sometimes. I like it.
Any others? If not, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. And Sean, are you teeing it up, or is RJ?
We're in all three.
Okay, need another chair then.
So as RJ gets ready here and gets the presentation going, The reason I came up here is because primarily of my past. Prior to coming to the city of Pullman, I had 28 years in development review with several different jurisdictions, and that tied into somewhat of my work here as a public works director prior to that. So this is something that I am intimately familiar with, is kind of why and how development operates, as well as these two fine young men. RJ's handing out a survey that we conducted here in the last month or so with developers and builders that have participated in the Pullman experience, if you will. And I'll have RJ talk a lot more about that. And when he's done there, he will begin his presentation. Got a haircut for that too, I see. And then with us here is Kenny Renstrom with Renstrom Homes, and President, CEO, Chief Bottle Washer, and everything else. Yeah, so just to kind of show his tie into all this as well. So with that, I'll have RJ tie in.
Thank you, Sean. And to clarify, I don't have a Lamborghini either. But honestly, many thanks to Kenny for spending this Tuesday evening with us. I appreciate his graciousness in coming with me tonight to City Council. So as I just passed out, as Sean mentioned, we did a survey about 2 weeks ago that had 15 questions that we sent to contractors, developers, and design professionals. And those are the responses that we got back in front of you. I will hit on about a half a dozen of the questions. There were 15 in total. As you can see on the slide here, 15 questions emailed to 44 contractors, developers, and design professionals. Each of the recipients of the survey had done work within the city of Pullman within about the last 10 years or so. Out of the 44, only eight responses were received, so a relatively low response rate of about 18%. Nonetheless, this survey is specifically a first of its kind for the Community Development Department, a first of its kind in my career, and really allows for, honestly, a certain level of vulnerability to hear back from developers and contractors about what they think, primarily about my department. So certain level of vulnerability there, a certain level of apprehension, but nonetheless, good to hear the comments that we've heard back. So I'm going to hit the highlights of about half a dozen of those, and then we'll move forward. First question, which factors most limit new development in Pullman? I think this is something that's probably primarily on a lot of our minds, especially recently. So the respondents, as you can see, had the availability to answer with construction costs in the region, market demand, permit timelines, predictability, and so on. So the respondents had the ability to click on more than one answer. So the top answer was construction costs in the region, not entirely unexpected, especially post-COVID. Second was market demand, followed by permit timelines, predictability of approvals, and so on. So I think the biggest takeaway here is the top two, 40%, construction costs and market demand. Next question I wanted to hit on, how clear are Pullman's development requirements at the start of a project? This is important to me. I pride myself on a high level of customer service. So this is something that I felt a little vulnerable hearing the responses back, but nonetheless, here they are. So 50% of the respondents said that they were generally clear, 37% neutral, and 12% somewhat unclear. I think this is something that we can always focus on moving forward, whether it's community development or engineering out of public works, trying to communicate outward what the requirements are before someone even considers to start. How would you rate Pullman's development review process overall? So this is where it got a little mixed. 12% very efficient, which is fantastic. 12% generally efficient, and 25% neutral. So half thought that we were efficient in some form or neutral. The other half said that we were somewhat difficult or, unfortunately, very difficult. So this is something that we'll have to work on, explaining how the process goes, what our timelines are, what developers and contractors can expect back from city staff. So which part of the permit process works well? I'm happy to hear that it's inspection scheduling, and that's something I'll get into a little bit later in this presentation, followed by pre-application meetings, which is one of my favorite things. Staff responsiveness, which is good. Plan review, coordination, and predictability of requirements was last. Which external factors most affect development feasibility in Pullman? No surprise here, the first two, market demand and regional construction costs, are the two external factors that most affect development, followed by interest rates, the cost of money, labor availability, followed by material availability, and lastly, regional competition. So if you chose to not pursue a project in Pullman in the last 5 years, what were the primary reasons? Once again, the project was not financially feasible. It's no surprise, I'm sure Kenny would back me up on this, that contractors and developers are here to make a profit. Second, market demand was insufficient. You just heard Sean Miller hit on market demand. Some of the items that may come forward, the builders and contractors ultimately determined that the market wasn't there for their project. Next was infrastructure costs were too high. Water, sewer, roads, those type of things. Next, other communities offered better opportunities. Permit timeline uncertainty, which is something that I know that I will have to work on with my staff on communicating what that is and what developers can expect. Zoning restrictions at 10%, land costs were too high, and finally, financing constraints. So it's not all bad news. Since my arrival in the summer of 2020, we've done an enormous effort to better connect with developers and the public. And here are some of the highlights of some of the things that we've implemented in community development over the last 5 years or so. So, as we mentioned earlier, there's a no-cost pre-application meeting that somebody can come in, whether their project is big or small, whether they want to build a porch or they want to do a 100-lot subdivision. They can come in at a no cost, sit down with staff on a Wednesday afternoon, and get all the answers that they're looking for. Next is construction tips sheets are available on the community development webpage. This is an outwardly informational item that if someone is interested, they can look on our webpage and find tip sheets on what will help them be more successful moving forward. Electronic reviews and permits and payments, which is relatively new. We do have an online permit portal, so somebody living in Texas or in Denver can apply for a permit and not need to come into City Hall. Same with reviewing their feedback that they've gotten from staff on their reviews, and they can also submit payments electronically as well. On-site project consultations happen very frequently, especially with the building official and the fire marshal. They are more than welcome to come out to a site and speak openly and freely with a building owner, prospective business owner, or anything that may fall between those. Next is hearing examiner, which replaced the Board of Adjustment approximately in about 2022. All of those meetings are virtual, much more efficient, and once again, someone can attend at home or in New York. Updated code format that is searchable, linkable, and available on the community development webpage. When I first arrived here, this was the first thing I identified that's something that we needed to update, where prior our code was merely a PDF on our webpage. This allows for a searchable, linkable, and shareable code section so we can send those things out specifically rather than say, go to page 64 on this webpage. Much more user-friendly. Next is geographic information systems. They've done an incredible job, Sam and Eliud in GIS, for utilizing the mapping abilities for utilities, parcels, zoning, roadways, and other asset mapping. They've really done an amazing job. If you ever want to check out what they're working, more than welcome to on the GIS portal under the Community Development webpage. Lastly, the expanded monthly newsletter that we do just about 11 months out of the year, pretty routine in nature, but we've decided to expand that from which was originally just planning to include economic development, thank you, Sean Miller, GIS, planning, building inspectors, and every once in a while we'll throw in a wild card. So those are some of the updates, process improvements, things that we've done since my arrival here back in the summer of 2020. Kenny's here to answer some questions, some concerns, to talk a little bit about the development process. I know you guys are probably a little bit tired of hearing about things from me, so we asked Kenny to come in and provide the expert, street-level, hands-on answers that you're probably looking for. So we'll start with me. Is there anything that I can answer in terms of the survey, some of the process improvements that we've done, or anything else? I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
Great. Councilmember Shumas?
I actually just want to take a second to say, I think when we ran for city council and we kept hearing about talking about getting to yes and all the different things that we would talk about on the campaign trail, this, I think, embodies exactly what we were talking about, taking a hard look at yourself, not yourself, but your department, whatever department it is, and saying, what is it that we don't do right? And then the second follow-up piece is fixing it. And I think this is amazing that you did this. I'm really grateful that you did this. I'm thankful that you did this. I'm ecstatic. I don't even know how to tell you. And I hope that we can move this forward then to some sort of action that can get some building going. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. I certainly appreciate that. And I don't anticipate this being the end, the survey. I think this is something that Sean and I talked about earlier this week and last week, that this may be just the beginning of a process that could span a considerable amount of time. So as you go through these questions that are in front of you and the responses, you may think, well, what's the context? And that's something that we can certainly dive into moving forward. So thank you. I appreciate your comments.
Councilmember Weller?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. RJ, this is great. Yeah, just echoing exactly what Tanya was saying. At goal setting, I had discussed the importance of each department and the city doing SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. This is exactly what we need to start doing at each department and at the city in general, and I would say almost yearly, in order to really identify. So I don't have any questions. I think this gives a lot of information. There were some notes on the very back that were very interesting and telling, and I'm sure hard to hear as well and hard to look at as well as a council member. But I appreciate you going through the soul search, and it's really good. Thank you.
Councilmember Vance?
Thank you. Thank you for putting this together. I think it's really important for us when we're up here talking about things that we're making data-driven decisions. So this is, I think, very valuable for us to see. And I would really like for us to see how we're taking this and then rolling it into improvements, and then how we're measuring against how we did before to the future. I know it's a process, but I think you got some really good data here, and thanks for putting up with me coughing. I got a bunch of seed dust when I was seeding my backyard over the weekend, and I've just had allergy attack after allergy attack for the last few days. So.
Councilmember McDonald?
Yeah, so just to echo everyone's comments, is ecstatic that you guys put this together, and I appreciate that you're willing to share it. There are some comments on here about Sean Miller talked a little bit about clarity. Obviously, if the clarity is, inflexibility in comparisons to King County or something like that, it's okay, we probably don't want that. level of clarity. But what I love the very most is that very last comment where it says, this survey should help us take a step in the right direction to improve that atmosphere, which is awesome. And I think it's why Tawny's so ecstatic, the rest of us are so ecstatic, and I just want to say thank you for doing this.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, and one of the things with this is understand this was people that have done work here in the last 10 years. Some of these comments could be from 10 years ago. Some of them could even be anecdotal from longer ago, which means some of these could be comments that were happening prior to RJ being here. So it is that perspective that we need to keep this in, is understand we remember a negative thing so much longer than we do the positive things. I have to keep telling that to my kids, in that way. Councilmember Parks.
I just have a quick question about the process going forward, or the regularity. How often, do you know yet how often you'll do survey again, put it out for anybody and maybe get more responses? It's going to be like an annual thing, or?
I would certainly hope that it's a little bit more frequent than annual, so we can
Okay.
get the feedback at a more timely interval.
Okay.
One thing I did not mention earlier is that all of these responses in the survey were sent in anonymously. So we don't know who said what, and Mayor Benjamin kind of hit on that. It could be a comment from 10 years ago, it could be 10 days ago. So some of the context is a little bit hard to dive through, but I think that's something that when we do future surveys, that maybe we can extract a little bit better, so we can get specific on what can we do that's better.
Yes, thank you.
Just to follow up with that too, one of the things that we noticed in this survey is that survey went out to design professionals, single-family home builders, commercial builders, everybody. And the responses we got back didn't distinguish where they were in that spectrum. And so some of these may be very well related to the design professional, the architect or the engineer's experience, and not the home builder's experience. So we do need to see, maybe dive these surveys up just a little bit more as we go forward on who we're sending them to as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Schumas.
Okay, I have one statement and then one question. So for people that are watching at home, I just wanted to read this line because I think this line is amazing, and I think it is accurate. It says, "I think that Pullman lets perfect get in the way of progress." And I've seen that happen a lot. And then I just had a question for you. It's Kenny, right? Sorry, names are not my strong suit. What do you think is like an actionable first step for Pullman or for the council for us to do to start getting home building done here in Pullman? Like we can get people interested in coming back and getting those homes built.
Well, first of all, I love that you're asking the question. That's amazing. My wife Sherry and I and our family have been building here since 1991, and we love it here. I came from the other side of the state, so I'm familiar with some of these other jurisdictions that you've been talking about. And though I would tell you that the city of Pullman is one of the hardest places for us to build, but it's a good thing because the products that the people get to enjoy when we're done are in a lot of ways based on the ideals of our city and following the codes and requiring builders like myself to do what we ought to all be doing, whether we're being inspected or not. So I think it's an attaboy for the city of Pullman. It's interesting to talk to out-of-town builders that come into town and to hear them at the coffee shops and thinking that it's just the most awful place to be. Well, just do it right, and you'll be just fine. Just go in and ask the questions, listen to the answers, and then follow the directions that are given from every single level. The gal at the front desk that's taking our permits all the way up to Jeremy at the top of the building department side, but also with water and sewer, the road department. I mean, I get to deal with every single one of them, and every one of them have been willing to and very good at helping us to do our job and do it right. And I appreciate that. It keeps us on our toes. Sometimes that's hard. And, well, it's always hard. But I think that's what we need to do.
Thank you for saying that and for shifting maybe a perspective that I needed to have shifted.
Councilmember Wright?
Just a quick comment. Great job, RJ, and having been on the other side of surveys, I know that it's kind of a, ooh, I don't know if I want to see these results or not, but it's a great start and a good benchmark for us to grow from. And I think that's truly the most important piece. And Kenny, I appreciate your comment about just let's do it right. But we need to be more collaborative in terms of getting to that, doing it right. And again, that's a benchmark that we need to work towards. So thank you for the information. Great job.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Wright. One of the things that we noticed in the survey that you got, and I don't think RJ put it up there, was that once the developer professional gets into our system, they know what to expect getting in, they know what they're kind of getting into. But once they're here, we heard that the predictability of the requirements tends to be the problem. And it's navigating from kind of once they're in to once they're out. And that's something that I know RJ and I will be working on in that manner as well. So that was hard to hear. And you're absolutely right. It's like learning that you aren't doing what you thought you were doing right. But it gives us a benchmark, it gives us something to shoot for and work towards getting better at. So thank you.
Councilmember McDonald?
Kenny? One of the things I wonder is kind of going back to like ideas of what we could do to get more details out of the next survey. Is like, could you help us like understand like what your target market is? Like, what's the starting price of a home that you would build? Or is it more multifamily home, or like what perspective are you coming in from?
Renstrom Homes is, our primary target is custom homes for folks. We do build spec homes in the town. A little higher level of homes. We don't build multifamily much, although we will. I mean, realistically, it's the customers that call us will pretty much take care of all their needs, but what we target is the custom home market here in town.
Okay.
Councilmember Vance?
If you can't divulge it, it's okay. But on average, what's the ballpark like entrance price for one of those homes?
Wow, I wish I had the actual data to say this, but I would say that we pretty much are probably 600,000 and up from there. We've built multiple homes. We've been very blessed to build some amazing homes in this town, and I'm really excited about that. But again, we don't necessarily turn away the lower end projects, but that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you.
I have one more. Sorry.
I'm checking. Yep. Not everybody has talked, so I want to at least give others. Okay, Councilmember McDonald?
One thing I wanted to just briefly mention, based on stuff Jeff said earlier, is right. There is definitely comparisons between the state of Washington and the state of Idaho, and I think the more that we can take this feedback and work with it, the more that I would love to remind people moving into town. SEL, for example, is hiring hundreds of people this year. Like, I would love to remind them that they're not going to pay income tax if we can build them or sell them a home in Washington. And of course, Pullman would keep us close to some convenient retail, so I think there's some real opportunities there that I'd love to lean into some of those differences.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Kenny, please.
If you don't mind, this is a thing that is a big deal to us because, I mean, being a builder on a state line is very interesting. It's very different. And it was brought up a little bit that it's different in Idaho than it is in Washington. Well, it's very, very different between Washington and Idaho. And when I was asked to do this by RJ a few weeks ago, and trying to think of where are those differences? What could the city of Pullman do to make this better? Which again, I think is amazing that you're even asking these questions. But the majority of the hurdles that we're running into are the state of Washington. They're not the city of Pullman. The city of Pullman doesn't decide what our minimum wage requirements are, that I am paying a sophomore in high school $20 an hour to sweep floors. The city of Pullman's not deciding what we pay on all of our insurance policies and, I mean, workman's comp and all those kinds of things. Energy credits, I don't know if any of you have heard this little nugget of wonderful Washington information, but I would throw out that between $35,000 and $50,000 of every house that we build in Washington State is based on the energy code requirements. I do not believe that these are bad requirements, but I might be bold enough to say that they're getting ridiculous because the gain isn't worth the cost. And none of those things are required just 7 or 8 miles away. So the fact that we have a building department that requires us, as they should, to follow all of these requirements, I would absolutely love it if we could figure out a way that we wouldn't have to, because we'd build a whole lot more houses here in Pullman.
I think that's a good kind of note to end on, is to understand the complexity of this in that way. So thank you very much for you three. And as Sean said when we started, this is the first in a series of economic conversations at next month's study session. I'm hoping to have in an economist, someone in hospitality, and someone that is an entrepreneur. So to be able to continue these conversations so you kind of have a better understanding, and to be thinking about is how can we as a city respond in these ways. Do we have any other business? Seeing none, we do have an executive session. So at this time, the City Council will adjourn to an executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I to discuss with legal counsel representing the city matters related to agency enforcement action, or to discuss, with legal counsel representing the agency litigation in which the agency, the governing body, or the member acting in official capacity is a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in adverse legal or financial consequences to the agency. The executive session is expected to last 10 minutes. If it becomes necessary to extend the executive session, someone will announce an anticipated additional time needed by the City Council. The Council does not anticipate taking action following the executive session. It's 7:43, so we'll start at 7:45. Is that enough time? Looks like a couple are going, so we'll start, we'll give 4 minutes, so 7:47.
A chewy
Executive session will continue for another 10 minutes to 8:07.
It's 8:07, calling the meeting back into order, and with this time, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.